Hey everyone, we'll be right back with another Meteor video for everyone. Um, we're going to talk today about just more of the daily grind that I go through running a grading business. I want to talk about, you know, the basics of finding raw cards to grade, understanding what cards I grade, why I grade them, the math that goes into that. I want I have some examples that I'm going to run through that hopefully will be helpful, and then I'm going to talk about all the different variables and some of the more creative ways to think about grading and making a lot of money grading Pokemon cards in 2026. Um, so, as always, I'll start with boring caveats and disclaimers, not financial or tax advice. Any P&L figures that I share are estimates. Do your own research before copying anything that I say or do. You know, yada yada. Do your own homework, not financial advice. So with that out of the way, um, so starting from step one is the 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 core building blocks of grading trading cards in 2026 involves you know buying a raw card and then knowing what to do with that card to extract maximum grading profit from it. Um, you know, in this slide, I have you know modern cards are the focus of what I'm going to talk about today. There are different ways to approach vintage cards, mid-era cards, even different languages. But for modern Pokemon cards, the way that to think about it is every card that you evaluate involves a a set of decisions. The first decision is, hey, should I I have this card? Is it worth grading? Is it worth sending to PSA or CGC? I have PSA here just for um, ease of explaining. But the first key question is, should I grade this card? If it's not worth grading, should I sell it back onto the the marketplace? Depending on the avenues that you have built to buy cards and to sell raw and or graded cards, you could buy a card for X price, see that it's not gradable, and then sell it back to the market for a higher price and actually make a profit selling raw. There are plenty of businesses that do that. That's not the focus of my particular business right now. My focus is buying raw cards to grade to get PSA 10s to extract maximum profit from that that cycle. Um, so that's that's kind of decision number one. Is is my card gradable? If not, sell it raw. Moving to the next key decision or variable to understand is, okay, I sent this card for grading. There's a chance that it gets a PSA 10. There's a chance that it gets less than that, PSA 9, 8, 7, whatever. The inherent price and profit differences of that apply to how you think about finding cards, grading cards, et cetera, et cetera. This should be fairly straightforward. I just want to start with the super basics that this is the foundation for every time that you sit down to go look for cards to buy. This is what at least I'm thinking about as a scaled grading business. So with the kind of simple piece out of the way, I'm going to flash an an equation in front of you, and this is just the exact same message of the previous slide, just in formula form. The the foundation of every grading business is dealing with expected value, EV. If you get good at understanding the expected value of any and every card that you see at a convention or online or at a store, if you can quickly get a feel for what the expected value of grading every Pokemon card there is, you will make a lot of money grading cards. This is what I am trying to get better at every day. This is what I focus on. This is what I'm obsessed with. Studying this, understanding this, running as many cards through this formula as I possibly can. So quickly running through all the different variables here. Every card starts with, should I grade it? Should I not grade it? So that 1 minus GR times PR is just what is there are a percentage of cards that are not going to be gradable. I'm going to sell those cards. I'm going to have some sort of raw profit from that. That is one piece of the expected value formula. The whole other piece on the right is when I send the card for grading, there's a percent chance that it gets a 10 times the profit of a 10 plus the percent chance of less than a 10 times whatever profit that is. That's all that this is saying. This is just in like very math nerd form. So the next two slides that I have are just taking real cards, real examples, and running them through this formula to get you a better sense of the other variables that you have to think about, and just like what the machine of grading cards actually looks like. So we'll start with Mega Charizard X EX from the Mega Charizard UPC. Super popular card, super cool card, very plentiful. Like, I think there are 30 to 40,000 copies of this graded at this point. So for this card, thinking about the formula for the expected value of grading a raw copy of this card, I have the original formula filled in with all of the data as of today. One key caveat is that this assumes that PSA bulk is open. So, starting from the top, gradable rate 47%. I get that from the PSA Pop report. 47% of all of this card that have been sent to PSA get a 10. And one key point here is that I have a variable for percent chance of PSA 10. I also have a variable for percent chance or percent of cards that I send to get graded. For modern cards, those should be close to the same number, or are generally the same number. If you're able to buy or deal in fresh, raw, unsearched copies of a card, the number of cards that you send to PSA should be about the same as the percent chance that it gets a PSA 10. So that's why GR and TR are the same number. I have the expected profit of selling my non-gradables back to the market is around negative $10, because as of today, this card raw is about $40 on TCG Player. If I were to buy 100 of them at that price, I would send 47 to PSA. If this gradable rate held true for that particular sample size, which is not a guaranteed by any means, but for the non-gradables, for the 53% that I choose to not send to PSA, I'm going to lose 10 bucks a card on those off the bat, because I'll list them on eBay, or I'll send them to a streamer, and I'll get $40 minus selling fees minus shipping fees. That's where that -10 comes from. Now, profit of a 10 I have is 125 bucks. That assumes you sell this card for $225 in a 10 on eBay. That's what low list is right now. Again, we're assuming bulk is open. I have 28 bucks here just because that's the grading fee plus a little bit of cushion for shipping fees to and from the vault, to and from my house, etc. And I'm assuming 15% selling fee. That is just like the base eBay platform fee. There are definitely places where you can get better fees. I'm just being conservative here. So you take all of that into account. I have all that filled in the bottom there, and it spits out that this card with all the variables as they are right now, the expected value of every single raw Mega Charizard X is 17 bucks, which is a 43% return. That's pretty good. For some people that may not be a good return. For others that may be great and worth your time. Key call out, that is assuming 6 to 9 months you have to wait to get all your cards back. So 43% return in 6 to 9 months. So that is that is what a grader does with every single card that they see. They find all the variables, they plug them into this formula, or they inherently understand this formula. They don't have to go do all this work. They can just tell, oh, this card's pretty minty. I'm going to send it, and I have a general idea of what this card in PSA 10 would be, and they're able to inherently understand what are high EV cards and what are not. But again, an example, this is a card that if bulk was open right now, you would send, and you would probably make money all else equal with a large sample size of raw cards that you were able to buy. So I'll move to the next example here. And this card is interesting because same formula, but and similar returns, like from an EV perspective, plus 39% return in 2 to 3 months. But this card and Chinese cards, Japanese cards in particular are interesting from a grading perspective because most of them are better gem rate cards. The card quality is just better, and you can see this card in particular has a 75% 10 rate. So of the 13,000 cards that have been sent to PSA of this particular one, 75% of them come back at 10. You can buy them raw for 195 bucks today, and then PSA 10 sell for 550 bucks. This in this example, I'm using regular tier PSA, so 80 bucks plus $5 shipping, still 15% selling fee, and then I'm assuming that a PSA 9 sells for 200 bucks. So again, put all of that through, and that's all publicly available, and there are tools that you can use to quickly find all of these variables, so then quickly do this math for a bunch of different cards at once. But fill all that into the formula, spits out 77 bucks worth of EV for every single card that you buy, and run through this machine. So 39% return, that's in 2 to 3 months because you're using the regular tier. So if I'm comparing this card to the Mega Charizard, I'm going to choose this card if I'm able to afford it, because for me, a higher gem rate, a higher percent chance that I get a PSA 10 means just it is a more certain outcome that I'm going to hit that $550 PSA 10. So that for my business, I don't have the resources to buy 10,000 of this card to get a perfect gem rate. So there's going to be inherent luck probability when you are buying raw cards to run through this. So it is more conservative just for my business to focus on cards with higher gem rates that still give me a good grading premium. And that's why I have cards like this in my inventory today. I am actively running this play, and I have been for months. So hopefully that's helpful. I have one more example that hopefully will help show why this particular formula is not perfect, and it's not something that you should just rely on solely. You have to understand like what cards work for this formula, when to use this formula, and when to not use it. So for Umbreon VMAX, this card came out, I believe, in 2021, or Evolving Skies, early Sword and Shield era. The numbers by themselves make this card look like it has a good EV. $622 on a $2,400 raw price implies 26% return in 2 to 3 months. That sounds not bad, but the problem is that 70% gem rate is taking the entire pop report, which includes 5-6 years worth of grading this card. So it would be very difficult for you to go out into the market today, scour eBay, TCG Player, and buy 100 of this card and actually get 70 that were gradable, and then 70 that could 10. In reality, you're going to get more of the cards that have been bought and sold by the same grader 30 different times back into the market, because it's not the gradable copy, and all of the gemmable minty versions of this have already been sent for grading and already have a PSA 10. So, and this applies to this card, and it applies to most cards prior to this, particularly WotC, all the way up through Black and White, XY, Sun and Moon. Just there's a much lower chance that though you can find untouched, unsearched copies of those cards, because so much of the sealed product from those sets have already been opened, and graders like me have already been spending years searching for cards like this. So while the formula may show that, hey, I should go blanket buy a bunch of this card, just be careful that you are sourcing cards that you think truly match the gem rate, and that you can truly trust the data that you're seeing. So that's all the examples that I have. And again, the other call out that I'll say here is, because this card is so high priced, it's $4,500 PSA 10. I have a 10% selling fee and embedded in this EV formula, which is an automatic 5% advantage versus the other two cards that I showed, because you can go send this to James, Z&G Emporium. You can send this to the PSA Vault, and you can consign this card, and the selling fee will be much lower because it's a higher price, and that's just an inherent advantage of higher price cards from a grading perspective. So I'll end things with just a couple thoughts around like the practical strategies around this formula, because again, this is not the like end all be all grading formula. It's the main foundational piece, but you should not base your entire business on this. Mainly because all the data points that go into the expected value of a grading play formula, they're all present day values. Like you're buying a card raw today, you're sending it off to PSA, and these days you're going to wait 3 months at regular tier all the way up to a year for any bulk subs that you sent before they closed. Like that is a huge amount of time that you have to wait before you know whether the PSA lottery has rewarded you with tens. And so you at the time when I buy cards, the expected value shows that this is a worthwhile card to send, but in 6 to 12 months, the PSA 10 price of that card will be wildly different from when it was when I did the math. So like one example is a few months ago, I bought a bunch of Chinese chase cards, the Gengar, the Gem Pack 3, all those chases. I bought a bunch of Captain Pikachus, which I can flash on the screen. I bought a bunch of the Sylveons, just all of the Chinese exclusive cards, because at the time they had very good EVs, and I just felt like the prices were too low relative to a bunch of other signals that I was following in the market. That proved to be a really good call, because Chinese prices for PSA 10s and just across the board, they all spiked. Particularly that Gem 3 Cubone like doubled or tripled in price. And I was able to buy raw copies of that card for $80-$90, and then when they came back and I had a lot of 10s because the gem rate was high, they were selling for $700, $800, $900 in a 10. So that's a giant margin. I didn't know that was going to happen. I just knew that at the time EV was good, so I bought a lot to send. On the flip side, I also bought a lot of Ascended Heroes chase cards because gem rates are good for Ascended Heroes, and I thought that the market for Ascended Heroes was going to stay strong long enough for me to get the cards back to sell, and that has not proven the case. Like I still have a lot of Trikachus and all of the other chase cards sitting in grading right now, while the PSA 10 prices are crashing. So I might still make a solid profit on those if I get enough 10s, but the EV formula output that I was looking at 2 or 3 months ago when I made that call does not look nearly as good now. And I definitely would not, I'm not buying Ascended Heroes raw now to grade because EV has crashed. So that's just one example of how you may have this super special magic formula that really everyone has. Like this is not a secret, but there is a lot of skill and a lot of luck in taking this formula and having to predict what cards look good now, but will still be good when they get back from grading. The last thing that I'll share on this is that if you have a very big bankroll dedicated to building a grading machine, you're probably going to do better than someone who does not have a lot of money to spend, because you're able to buy, like where a small grader can buy 10 cards to run through this formula, a big grader can buy 1,000 cards, and odds are that 1,000 card lot is going to be much closer to the gem rate that you are looking for versus the 10 rate. That's why we hear, particularly for platforms like TCG Player, people complain, rightfully so, that they get a lot of non-gemmable cards from TCG Player because they're just buying the same non-minty card over and over again, and it's just being passed from the same graders to each other because they want to find those gradable copies. In my experience, recently TCG Player has been pretty poor, and when bulk opens up, I'm gonna have to find different platforms, different ways to source raw that is unsearched or just has a better chance of being able to be graded. But in the past, I have been able to buy enough quantity on TCG Player that I've still gotten gem rates that are close enough to the map that I was looking at to where it made sense. So one last piece for that too is with higher bankrolls, you can buy higher price cards, and those cards, like the Umbreon VMAX, will be treated better by consignment houses, and those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 percentage points of platform fee savings add up very, very fast. Like your margin of safety goes up, your ability to quickly auction a card and get cash flow back improves. Like there's a lot of benefits to being a big player when it comes to grading versus a smaller mid-sized player. This is something that I'm still learning how to do because I've just only gotten a bankroll big enough to feel like I can start buying, $1,000 to $3,000 raw cards to grade. So we'll see how it goes, but business is good. I'm able to leverage this formula and all the other skills that I've built over the last 3 years to keep making money grading in this market. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you're able to glean something from this. I'll have more grading 101 videos coming, but in the meantime, thank you guys for watching. See you guys on the next one.